welcome back to the Price to Sell podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Campoli. We're going to shout out Dean today. It's been a while, but shout you out, buddy. He's in the background, giving you the middle finger right now. But hello, Dean. And we'd like to welcome you guys back to another incredible episode. Today, we're going to get into some trendy topics with a magnificent guest. We're digging into the rates. We're digging into where the hell is this market going. We have no one other than Rakhee Dhingra, aka Mortgage Savvy. Thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here today.
Yeah, awesome. And I know you as Mortgage Savvy. I'm sure many people do know you as Mortgage Savvy on Instagram. But you have a killer presence.
I appreciate that.
So I just want to applaud you on that to start.
Oh, thank you so much. That's much appreciated.
Yeah, of course.
I think we try to ensure that we're, educating clients. Mortgages have become sort of like, I often say, the new COVID use.
Yes.
So it's nice to kind of be able to lead and provide clients with our perspective where we can.
Yeah, love it. Love it. So let's give the audience a little bit of a background into who Rakhee is.
So Rakhee Dhingra started Mortgage Savvy 7 years ago after I became a mom.
Okay.
My background is finance. I have a strong educational background in finance and decided that I was going to climb the corporate ladder. And then my daughter was born, and looking at her gave me the fulfillment I thought I would get from my ambition and sort of pursuing, a career. And so the moment she was born, I often say the first 3 years I chose to stay home with her, and that was complete contentment. However, there was also this drive to be able to leave a legacy for her and provide. And I saw opportunity in real estate because in 2008, when no one else was buying homes, I chose to buy my forever home. And it was the best financial decision I ever made. That allowed me to then, dabble in real estate and start building wealth and create a life by financial design. I know it's cliche, but I was actually able to do that and secure sort of a foundation for my daughter and I, now that I'm on my own as a single mom, to really grow and continue to provide for her and provide her with stability. So that was why I started Mortgage Savvy, and that's who I am.
It's an awesome why.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you're clearly succeeding at your goal.
It doesn't get any better than that, and she is my gift from above. So it's all for her, and I have the privilege to be her mom. So I have no choice but to give her everything that she deserves.
I love it. So how has the 7 years been in the mortgage space?
It's been a roller coaster ride for sure. I've been around in the shift that we saw in 2017 when they introduced the stress test.
So that's when you started, right? Around that time?
Around that time.
Yeah, me too.
So that's when I started. I was fortunate enough to have the support of some really supportive, giving, and caring realtors that supported me on this journey. And yes, in 2016, 2017, I was in-house in a few brokerages. So I remember we'd go to work, and sometimes we would spend the night in the office just being there supporting our clients on calls, easing their anxiety, providing as much information as we could so that they could, make the right decision for themselves and their families. So yeah, 2016 and 2017 were the last time I felt like we were on a very similar sort of roller coaster ride as to where we are today.
Yeah, and it's good to notice the patterns. Similar to me too, because that's when I remember getting my first listing when the mortgage rules came out.
Yes.
And I'm like, sick, I'm gonna price it under market value, hold an offer night, first listing, kick my feet up, sell it. And I did like 12 open houses and did not sell it. So that was my intro into the real estate world as an agent. Similar timeline.
But it's the best way to get an education.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for that. So, but I want to get into, we're getting into like a bunch of the things about you after, but to start, some of the juicy stuff that's happening right now.
Okay. The last week in itself has been eventful. Last week, Bank of Canada announcement, and everybody was kind of on their nerves, right? Depending on which media outlet you were listening to, it was a different sort of set of sort of indicators, whether we'd hold or increase. Personally, I predicted that we would see rates hold because our inflation numbers were reflecting better. I think at times of uncertainty, I think it's important to lean on key economic indicators, and everything was pointing to the fact that we had those consecutive increases, that there was some impact. And rates, as we expected, were held. The Bank of Canada chose to hold rates. But it's important to note that the Bank of Canada is able to influence inflation through these rate announcements. But there are other aspects that also impact inflation. So across the border, we were hearing rumors of further rate increases. So what does that mean? That means that if the U.S. decided to increase rates, that the value of our dollar goes down and the cost of importing goods now goes up. So that means further inflation for Canada as well, which means potential further rate increases.
Yep.
However, in the last 3 days, anybody that's reading the news, Silicon Valley Bank, we saw a bank go under, kind of a very similar climate to 2007 again. And now we're seeing the impact on and the pressure on our bond market, which also signals further decreases to rates now. So very sort of, it truly has been a roller coaster ride. And now we're kind of sitting on the sidelines waiting for our fixed rates to drop, which I think we'll likely see more of that in the next day or two.
Okay.
And then now we're also seeing economists predict that we'll start to see the Bank of Canada actually reduce the overnight lending rate as early as June.
Oh, wow.
And so that would be June 7th. That's the announcement that we're expected in June. The next one's actually April 12th, but we're expecting to see rates come down, which is good news for households that have been struggling. And again, potential positive news for buyers that are kind of sitting on sidelines and waiting for a change.
Yeah. Now, in between now and April, I mean, I know that there's a sudden change 3 days ago. All this news came out. How does the folding of the Silicon Bank work? Like, how does that affect us?
So that, and again, I'm going to give you a little bit of background there. I'm not an economist per se, so I can kind of give you just more so high level. So if we look at what we saw happen in 2007, 2008 in the U.S., where very similar sort of situation to where we're seeing now, where we saw that the U.S. market impact Canada. So as we start to see government having to reinvest and bail out these institutions, we then see the value of our Canadian bonds go down, which then impacts lenders' ability to secure funds and lend out at a lower cost, which in turn impacts consumers' abilities to lend at a lower rate. So that in turn kind of gives you a little bit of a snapshot, kind of high level on how we're impacted by that sort of recent announcement.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Because you hear, like, my clients, I'm sure you too, like the hesitation, right? When the rates were held, I've personally seen a pickup in the market. Bidding wars are back in certain spots, right? And I'm noticing with some of my listings, the amount of showings have just like doubled. Do you foresee this as just like, spur of the moment, things are heated and things might come back, or this is the start to potentially things coming back to normal and a little more steady, especially in lieu of potentially having these rates dropping?
So that's a great topic. So if you had spoken to me on January 6th, I was a little scared.
Yeah.
I have always craved for additional personal time. I'm personally a driver, so when I have it, I don't know what to do with it. So January 6th rolls around. I've done my family vacays. I've enjoyed the holidays. And I'm like, okay, what am I doing now? And it was silence. January 7th, I was busier than I had ever been. A lot of what we were doing was financial coaching. Canadians are attached to their homes. So they're willing to make the adjustments needed in their day-to-day spend to keep their homes, to keep their families comfortable. So we started engaging in conversations. By February, year over year, we transacted more in January of 2023 than we did in January of 2021 or 2022. So I'm relying on our data. We were busier than ever.
Yeah.
Who are we transacting with? First-time home buyers that couldn't qualify in 2020 and 2021 now had enough of a down payment to move forward with a purchase. We're able to qualify for something today, whereas a few years back, the options were not there for them to pursue a purchase. So we were busy. The mortgage loans had decreased in size, but we were still busy transacting. My thoughts are in the last 30 days, if we look at data, we're seeing an uptake. I'm seeing multiple bids. I'm having clients call me and ask me if they can go firm, which
Yep.
could be a very sort of, moment of anxiety for us as well, because we want to do our due diligence.
For sure.
I think momentum's going to continue. And I think if we do see a shift in rates, that we will continue to see this momentum. I think the missing conversation here, though, which is a conversation that I think is so important for households, is to really be aware of their affordability, their monthly spend, their financial goals outside of just their shelter costs, their long-term plan. And that is something that I feel we do with clients right from the onset, and I think we should all be doing. Whether to time the decision now, whether it was a few years back or into the future, really depends on your personal set of financial circumstances in terms of where things are sitting, where your goals are, what you're capable of today, and then balancing it with market. But I think this is going to create opportunity for people to really get back out there and be able to afford something. If rates are lower, then maybe we can try and ensure that we're able to work within a budget that you're comfortable with.
Yeah. And you even said you bought in this sort of market, right?
It was the best financial decision I ever made.
Right?
I wasn't ready at the time. You're never completely ready.
No, that's for sure.
But that's with any life event. I
Yes.
wasn't ready to get married. I wasn't ready to have my child. I wasn't ready to start mortgage. Like everything just kind of happens, right? And that's where you just need to blindly trust the universe.
Yes.
That there is a plan. It's predestined. Buckle up, enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Give into the energy and let it go, right?
Yes.
So the same when you're purchasing your first home, how often, in a lifetime do we go out and spend $500,000 or $1 million? It's normal and it's natural to be anxious about it. I don't know a single person that hasn't been.
Yeah.
But I think there's opportunity and I think, good things to come.
Definitely. You're like me. Just dive in the deep
For
end.
sure.
Just
Exactly. We'll
right in
figure
the deep
everything
end.
out
Figure
after.
it'll figure itself out.
I know people around me have a hard time with that, but
Same.
it's how I live life.
Yep.
I can't change it.
Yeah. Yeah, me either.
By the time you've planned it, I've already done it.
Exactly. You're a doer. So I'd like to unpack the financial planning portion. I think that's cool, given your background too, right?
I think it's important. And
Yeah.
I often say, you take a young family, like when I started mortgages, I was a young family. Daycare costs are the equivalent of a mortgage payment. But it doesn't show up on your credit bureau.
True.
Or if I had, and at that time I had a car lease that was going through my corp.
Yeah.
But that's still an expense that I'm covering personally.
Yeah.
So it's so important to have the important conversations
Yeah.
and ensure that clients are prepared, especially through the scary times. I think it's important to have a budget. If we don't have a target, how do you move forward?
Yeah. Do you think there's a common adjustment you're helping people make that's more common than, let's say, something else that people aren't seeing or getting maybe or understanding that you're like tweaking and it's working every single time? Is there anything like that?
Absolutely. I think what we're doing right now is clients and home, I would say just people in general, technology has made it so easy to automate. We tap.
Yeah.
We tap
Tap is
away.
dangerous.
Our bills are paid on automatic payments as well. And I think it's so important to take some time to really audit yourself. Sit there and actually go through your Visa statements, your spend. What I challenge clients to do is for a month, charge everything that you're spending to one credit card. And then let's audit it.
Yeah.
Let's take your household expenses that are, sort of fixed costs monthly, right? And charge them to one credit card that maybe generates points that you can then apply to payments.
Yeah.
There are resources or tools, there's ways to get smart about it, but you first need to have the awareness. If you have your payment set up for automatic payment, you're not going through the process of auditing yourself. You're not holding yourself accountable. And that's where we start. And clients are usually shocked. It's usually 3 days or 4 days of avoidance. They don't want to come back to us.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to report back. It's scary.
Yeah, for sure.
But what they don't realize is that we're working together to develop a future plan. And once we've done that, so after the 3-4 days of avoidance, I keep coming back. They're like, go away. I come back, right? And then we create that plan. And then once you see that change, that's where you have impact. That's where you've given them the empowerment to know that they can take control, that they're in that positive space, to be able to manage things as they are and work towards future goals.
Yeah. You'd probably throw up if you saw mine. Yeah. So we're not. You're not going to audit me, okay? No auditing Matt. I got to audit myself sometimes.
Exactly. Sometimes we just need to take that information away and just challenge ourselves to actually put one foot in front of the other and execute on it.
For sure. And like I've been down that road where, well, especially as a realtor, it's like you get that first commission check. It's like, sick, I'm going to Miami, which I did.
Absolutely.
And never did again. But yeah, even since we're on this topic, like I feel like something else that might be super valuable to people is credit. Mm-hmm. Maybe some hacks on building credit back up.
Absolutely. So it's important to know that you need to have 2 active trades.
Okay.
And oftentimes what I will see is clients will, brag about the fact that they've closed a facility because they're not using it. No, leave it open. The longer your credit history, the more it works for you. It's also great if you want to overpay something. Have it sit in a credit balance. It still reports. You may not actively be using it, and now it's helping build credit. Mm-hmm. You also want to be really, really mindful of ensuring that you're processing your payments 5 business days before the due date to avoid any delay in payments, and that you're mindful of your sort of utilization. So if you have $5,000 available on a credit card, don't exceed that $3,500 mark. Mm-hmm. And that's a great way to also kind of keep within your monthly budget. The less you have available to you, the less you're going to spend.
Yes, it's true. Mm-hmm. So you keep it under, let's say, 60, 70%?
Exactly.
And even if you have a balance, it's okay?
It's okay.
Still build?
Yes.
Cool. These are slowly becoming personal questions. I'd love to segue into you and what you've been creating online. I know you're big into energy like myself, and I feel like you've built an amazing brand. I know you love to talk about that. How is brand building? How has that been for you, that process?
It's been important to me because we all want to leave something behind. And for me, Mortgage Savvy is my second child, and it's my legacy. Mm-hmm. And when I started Mortgage Savvy, it was really to empower people on a very simple, stupid method of 1 owner-occupied property and 2 investments. And the mentality that how you live your mortgage is really how you live your life. Like, who wants to be changed to debt for 25 years? Mm-hmm. And I come from old school East Indian conservative sort of values where you're not supposed to carry debt. So I wanted to be mortgage free. That was a goal. But when I went to work and I had a healthy salary, I didn't know how to get there. So what I realized is when I was calling my banker, because at the time I secured my mortgage, I went through my banker. And then when I started asking more challenging questions, they stopped answering my phone calls. So I built it out myself. And so Mortgage Savvy was to help me build my own personal real estate portfolio. I did it selfishly for myself. And then my goal was to help 1 family a month because energy out is energy in. Mm-hmm. And I started, my first office space, I had a little bit of a cubby behind a door in my kitchen. Mm-hmm. That's as much space as I had.
Yeah.
It was 1 client a month. And then suddenly Mortgage Savvy took on a life of its own because every time I helped 1 client, they became a walking, talking advocate for the second, for the third, for the 4th client. And I used to even lead with, if you're not a past referral or there's not a relationship here, but demand grew because people wanted to understand how to do A, B, and C. We're in the industry day to day. We understand the terminology. We understand the market. But for most that go to work every day, and if they're really great at what they do, they don't have the time, the energy, or to focus to really absorb this additional information. So if we can arm them with that information and allow them to go through and do that, that's powerful. So Mortgage Savvy grew with this need for me to, if you add enough value, transactions follow, you make impact, and you create this whole sort of like ecosystem of advocates that just champion you.
Yes, it's so true. And you attract it.
Exactly.
You become an attraction magnet.
Exactly.
You get it. One of the questions you provided me, I like it. we're gonna touch on it. Super. I think for any female out there listening, this is a popular topic, becoming more and more popular, and we want to help empower, right? And you wrote, embracing your femininity in a male-dominant industry is something that you value, right? So I'd love to Talk on that a bit.
Absolutely. So I have a very feminine soft touch, but I can kill it with a spreadsheet. And very often, like, you need to be able to paint a picture, right? And then you could sell the story.
Yeah.
And so I'm very soft in my approach. And if you speak to some of our realtor partners, they'll say that, even when she's delivering bad news, it's in a positive way because I have the ability to break things down in a financial matter where I can give them something tangible to look at. And that, I think, speaks to my substance. But I'm female and I'm feminine and I have a very soft approach, and I do embrace that. And I think you see that online with our visuals. I think there's lead with who you are, be authentic. My brothers tease me about it all the time. I get it all the time. They're like, "Where's the head tilt?"
Yeah, that's funny.
But I play into it. I embrace it. It's who I am. It makes me who it makes me who I am. I oftentimes will get, "Or is this real? Is this who you really are?" And it's, this is who I am. The shoes need to like match everything.
For sure.
I take the time, the effort. And there's nothing wrong with that. Enjoy, be who you are, embrace it. But that also is where I also feel that on the financial side, I've built respect and I've built a reputation in the industry that does speak to credibility of what we do every day, which is create a wealth building strategy for our clients and give them tangible information to walk away with that helps them actually go out there and do it. And I think that's key. So it's understanding that just because I am leading with my femininity, that it's important to also note that there's substance behind it and not to judge or not to kind of create sort of a perception of what may be, and just give an opportunity to really get to know somebody beyond just what might be on the surface.
Yeah. And do you find that you're influencing people beyond mortgage space because of you're just being you?
Yes. And that, I think, has been the most incredible thing to come.
Yeah.
I've dabbled in other projects lately, other opportunities, and really every once in a while you have to question, what did I do to deserve this? And then you just have to believe that energy out is energy in, and you just keep going right. Even when, my dad always said, you can go right and you can go left. Just keep going right and everything will come full circle, right? You just got to trust in the universe.
Yeah.
And so I definitely, lots of opportunity, lots of blessings. If anybody that does follow me, I often say, this was all an accident. And I am beyond grateful to have been on this journey. I'm blessed.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, I'm loving the story, because I can resonate. I'm very similar, where I have no plan and things are just happening.
Right?
And I can also resonate with, because you've been yourself, all these other opportunities are coming your way. That may not be just mortgages, like linear. There, other things that are popping in. I'm experiencing similar things now too. And I'm like, where's this coming from? Why is this coming to me? I'm just mad. But it's like the secret sauce.
It absolutely is. You got to invest internally, and then that energy just flows. You attract.
Yes. Are you into the self-development space?
Oh, absolutely.
I can feel like you are. What are some key points that maybe you find useful that you think maybe the audience could take away? Like everyday entrepreneur out there, whether they're in real estate, mortgages, something that you do to keep you in that mind frame and mindset.
I think mindset is key, right? We create, everything we create starts with the thoughts we allow in. So I think it's important to create fences, protect your energy space, love yourself, be gentle with yourself. I always say to my daughter, pretend like you're an actress in a play, and ensure that you're living your life in a way that you envision. Don't limit yourself. Look at challenges as opportunity. But it really is, like, life is our opportunity to really just play the part we choose to play. So if we can really envision and buy into it truly at a very deep level, that's how we manifest. Everyone says to me, how do you manifest? Well, you believe, you nurture internally. We're so used to giving energy out. And in a shifted market, and it's not just applicable to real estate, I think any industry is seeing their shifts.
Yep.
Households are seeing their shift with the increase in spend. We're all kind of going through a challenging time. And I think this is where it's okay to, be vulnerable, be honest, share that you're open to building connections and learning from one another. But there's such opportunity. I do believe that the world is lacking leaders, and really the opportunity is yours to just really have the confidence in yourself to step into it and create.
Yeah. It's more relevant now than ever. I feel like putting out that realness, like whether you're struggling or something, like people might be scared. Like I had a friend recently that kind of came out and became vocal about something that they went through online. And it might seem like the wrong thing to do to maybe the majority of people. Like if you're thinking like, oh, I suffered from this and this and this, why would I want to talk about that? But by actually doing that, it's like the opposite effect. Now that individual is probably getting a ton of business because people are like, wow, this is real. Like I can relate.
People want to resonate with what's real. It's interesting you say that because yesterday I did that. I had somebody else in the same field. I knew he existed. He knew I existed. Been following each other for years. He shared his story. I picked up the phone and I called him and I said, thank you for sharing, because what you described was my last 10 years. And we immediately connected. We're having dinner next week. And it's the start of a whole new sort of friendship, but opportunity as well, just by being authentic and real. It doesn't need to look perfect. None of us live perfect lives. We all have a story.
Yeah, except Dean. Dean's pretty perfect out there. But it's so true, though. It's crazy. So, like, for those that are scared out there, just lean into it. Just be vocal about it. You can cut through so many layers of fat like that. That's awesome. Well, we are nearing the end. I told you, these things fly by.
It does.
I know.
It really does.
But I want you to leave off with, because I feel like you're just so full of things to say, which is amazing. So if there's one thing that you want to say to the audience before we get off here, what would it be?
Hard work pays off, that it gives you confidence. It's not to prove anything to anybody else but yourself. And if you stay focused and dedicated, the world truly is your oyster. You can create anything you want. And there's such opportunity. So really embrace the positivity and lead with that, and everything else works itself out.
I love it. And if people want to reach out to you, follow you, where can they find you?
They can find us on Instagram at Mortgage Savvy. Yes.
Awesome. All the links in the description, as per usual. And to everyone out there, hope you guys enjoyed this chat. I did. I'm so calm right now from this talk. So you like zen me out.
Thank you, Matt.
So I appreciate it. So if you guys want to hop on the phone with her for mortgages, it's not just mortgages. You'll also have a really calm feeling and vibe after the chat. Just letting you know ahead of time. But to everyone out there, thank you so much for always tuning in. Please rate us 5 stars. If you don't, I'll find you. I know where you all live. And like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.